took me too long to realize that she started the company and did it solely for me. Like she didn't need to do it. She didn't have any intention. She really had no desire ever to build a brand around her name, but she did it because she was worried that I wasn't going to get a job.
Welcome to the Know Your Ship podcast, presented by eHub. I'm your host, Frank Dolce. What's the nickname for Sterling? Like, what do people call you?
Stir fry. That's all I got. I never had like the nickname. Like all my buddies had one, and I never had one. Well, one guy growing up called me Sturls.
Sturls. Was he from Texas?
It was from like the East Coast. Sturl. Like, get a hit, Sturl. Be on the baseball. My dad's like, nobody says Sturl.
No one says Sturl.
But he did. And I kind of liked it actually because it was like the only nickname I had.
Well, let's talk about that growing up. Your experience growing up. Mom and dad grew up in Arizona.
Correct. Yep.
Were you in Arizona the whole time? I know your parents moved around a little bit.
Born and raised Mesa, Arizona until I was 19.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And then you decided to leave Arizona, come to school up here in Utah.
Between that, went on a church mission to Singapore, Malaysia. So spent 2 years in Singapore, Malaysia. And then after those 2 years, came to Utah at 21 to go to school.
Okay. Tell us about that missionary experience.
Yeah.
What are some of the takeaways? Generally, how was that experience?
Man, life-changing. Truly, I like to say the best 2 years for my life, the best thing I could do out of high school. You're spending the whole day focused on other people. Mm-hmm. So learning how to, serve other people. Also, it's hard. I mean, you are waking up and you go out every day, knock doors, talk to random people. So I love people, blessed with that from my mom. And so I loved it. Definitely the kind of a launching pad to teach me I can do hard things. Also, what's important in life, honestly, at the end of it is it kind of gets you rooted in the things that matter most in life.
You do have this entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Is that dad, mom, some combination?
I'd say my dad has definitely an entrepreneurial mindset. He absolutely is entrepreneurial. He also definitely appreciates security, so he's fortunately works for a company that allows entrepreneurial, within, so it's good. And then my mom more so believed in me. So she kind of she believed in me before I believed in myself. And so she helped me along that journey. And definitely the mindset of you can do anything you set your mind to. And she had a dad who was actually entrepreneurial, however, steered her away from something she wanted to do. And so I think she really took the opposite approach of if that's what you want to do, go for it. Just absolutely go for it. And so I was blessed to have her take that approach of it doesn't need to be what we think you should do. Or
how meaningful was that to have, as you reflect back, someone who believed in you, maybe before you believed in yourself?
It's the reason I'm here today with the company I have, 100% because of my mom. Not just because she made the first recipe, but 100% because she believed in me before I did. Because my biggest hold up early on was actually choosing to be an entrepreneur. I was worried what other people would think of me. I was worried about when you say I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I mean, there is no blueprint, right? Mm-hmm. You say I'm going to be an investment banker, which is where I was headed. I mean, it's get this, do these classes, get this internship, then get this job.
There's a very distinct path.
This is what you do.
Yeah.
And if you do it right, you'll succeed. Where you say I'm going to be an entrepreneur, they're like, what are you going to do? And when you make that decision, usually you don't have an idea, right? Sometimes you already start, but for me, I didn't have any idea. I just thought I want to create a company. I want to create something that solves a problem for people.
Okay, so you were headed down the path of becoming an investment banker. Mm-hmm. Growing up, did you also have this idea that you wanted to start your own thing, or
no?
Or did that? Okay,
not at all. I was not the kid who was selling baseball cards.
Well, I think it's interesting because just visiting with you for the last several minutes and trying to understand about how you grew up and your parents' influence, it doesn't feel like, or it doesn't seem like that, like the investment banking path seems ultra competitive and lots of ego. And I don't know, I mean, in a good way, I don't know that is your personality.
Yeah. And
Does that
luckily,
align?
definitely. And luckily I figured that out before I went too far down. It was more.
I mean, investment bankers are amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
very, can be very, very successful. But
Yeah, it was just, I really went to college having no idea. The first time I even like heard the idea of like, hey, you could chase the American dream was actually going back to when I was serving a mission for my church, and our leader said, "Have you ever thought about just doing your own thing?" And I was like, "Can I do that?" Like, he's like, "Yeah, can't you build a company and work yourself out a job and follow the American dream?" And so that's kind of the first seed planted. And then going back to my mom, the reason I'm even here is she signed me up for my semester of college. I know it's kind of embarrassing. My mom signed me up for my classes because she knew I wouldn't do it.
bro, I can see this happening. Like your mom's sitting there with the application.
Oh, it wasn't going to happen if I...
Sterl.
You going to sign up? No, I'm not. Are you going to do it for me? And so she did, and she signed me up randomly. I don't believe in chances, but in the Intro to Entrepreneurship class, and
She knew.
transformed my life.
Yeah.
Transformed my life.
She knew.
I remember
That's why she signed up. She was like, I have to take control of the situation.
Oh, 100%. And I remember sitting in that class, like elbowing my buddy, being like, "Are you feeling this? Like, this is incredible." And he'd be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Okay, this clearly is speaking to me." And I was fortunate for that, because some people don't like get that, and people feel that way about other things, and I never did. And so going back to like, I started down investment banking route because like people are like, "Oh, you should do the accounting program. It's really good at BYU. You should do finance program." And so accounting, worst grade I ever got. So quickly was like, no, finance. Got into the program and then quickly realized this is not for me. I remember day one sitting there and they laid out the blueprint, the way to get to and I just thought, I do not want to do that. I don't. Like, that just sounds, for me
daunting.
Personally, yeah, and torture. Yeah. And so I was like, no. And even after that, it's still like, okay, well, I'll transfer into the HR program, because then it's, at least you still have a path. And then I was finally like, okay, just make the decision and do it. But I just was so worried about telling my dad I wasn't going to do finance, telling other people. I went on a date and I said to the girl, "Yeah, I'm going to do the entrepreneurship program." She's like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I thought about saying, "I'll hire you in 10 years," but I didn't say that. That was
such a good comeback.
She was in the accounting program, so I thought about saying it, but I didn't, because that wasn't the right thing.
That was probably the right thing not to say it, but...
And then I obviously didn't keep dating her. But anyways, yeah, so it took a while for me to really commit to it.
But you were feeling it.
100%. 100%. Yep. And that's my thing. I feel like there are so many other kids in college that they fill a poll, but there isn't a roadmap for them. And also they're asking people who haven't done it, and they don't ever just like take that step.
It's such a good lesson to kind of following your gut, or having the ability to follow your gut. You mentioned something like maybe peer pressure, what other people might think,
100%.
Kind of guiding you down this path that you weren't really meant to go. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us end up in that, like, once upon a time, there was this thing, and I look back on this in my own life, like, maybe, was that the right thing to do? It was the PE major, physical education major. But if you were in the PE major, then you were considered like the dumb jock. And I didn't want to be considered the dumb jock. And so, you lean away from that and try and then looking back, you're like, wait a second, that was really good alignment. Now I'm thinking, but maybe I was just the dumb jock. Maybe that was the right path. But finding, how meaningful for you in your life has it been finding that alignment and being aligned with what you are really passionate about?
It's everything. I mean, I remember in those classes, like during college, I listened to Steve Jobs a lot, and he said something like, if you look in the mirror too many days in a row and you hate what you're doing, you need to make a change. And I just luckily I heard that early on and realized, like, already I know I'm going to hate this. And so I just didn't want to set myself up for that. And I also looked around and was like, how many people get a degree in something and end up not even doing that? Or how many people just stick in it because it's what they did, and they're like, I put in the time, put in that, and they feel like they have to because they invest.
Now you're invested.
But it's like, that's a sunk cost, right? It was, as you were saying that, I remember one, and it's funny, it's such a small moment, like truly like 30 seconds of my life, that I was in that moment trying to decide what to do. And luckily my brother-in-law was like, "Oh, you should come talk to one of my friends." And just, they were at, I think we were at a church setting, and he just said, "Hey, come chat with him." Went up to him. I was like, and he goes, "Hey, he's trying to decide, should we do the finance program or the entrepreneurship program?" He's like, "Oh, 100% entrepreneurship program." It was the first person that like, just like didn't even hesitate. And I was like, whoa, clearly I've been asking the wrong people. Because if this guy's so confident and everybody else, so it was like, I was asking people that were in the finance program. Of course, they're going to say that. And so it helped me like just a different perspective, and it helped me also be like, okay, like I need to follow my gut.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is probably a good part in the podcast to talk about the significant influence in your life and how that led to where you are today. So that, of course, is your mom.
Yeah.
Jojo.
Absolutely.
Is Jojo her nickname? I mean, we're talking about nicknames.
Jojo. Yep. Jody Jones was her name. And so she'd get called Aunt Jojo, or, by youth camp, Jojo. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like an amazing person.
Absolutely.
And well, you tell me, how do you want to manage the story? Do you want to just tell us?
Sure.
Do you want to tell us the story?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 2012, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. Speaking of how incredible, and since we already mentioned it, I was living in Singapore, Malaysia at the time she was diagnosed, but she was planning to come out and pick me up. It was May she got the diagnosis. She was coming to pick me up in June. She told no one besides her husband, my dad. They kept it quiet, came and picked me up, traveled, and it's hot there. She's eating food. And then we get back, and then we lay out the plans, because I had been gone for 2 years. She lays out plans for the week. It's like, we'll do this. And then on Thursday, I got to go in for an operation.
You didn't know?
No idea. And she's like, I go in for operation, and then on Friday we'll do this. And I was like, time out, Mom, what an operation? Like, that's just
slid it in there.
Never wanted to burden somebody.
Just a little operation.
Yep. And she was going in for, and so anyway, the reason I mentioned that is like, that's how my mom lived, was it truly going back to that life is 10% what happens to you, 9% how you respond. And she just said, I'm going to beat it. I'm going to go after it. I'm going to keep living my life. And the reason I started the company is I watched my whole life the way my mom lived, but then especially during such a trying time, she still chose to love others, serve others, have so much hope and optimism. And it was amazing. And I thought, man, if we could build a brand that hopefully embodied that and could just share some of that love, we can make a difference. That hopefully through, and chocolate's a love language for some people, especially my mom. It just made sense that my mom would start. I mean, she had no plan of starting a company, but it just made sense that like she started a chocolate company, and truly we're trying to spread love like through that company.
The thing about, if I understand the story correctly, the thing that I think is so amazing is that it sounds like your mom she had the cancer, but she never made it about herself. It was like she still had this servant attitude,
100%.
serving others.
Yep.
And not about, and isn't that like, especially it feels like today, maybe it's not just today, maybe I'm just putting it on today, and maybe it's throughout the ages, but there's this, rather than focusing on the service aspect and other people, we have a tendency to, we all have self-interest. We have a tendency to be, it's all about me and how do I achieve in this, rather than,
And my mom is she lived a life full of joy. Like one of the happiest people I've ever known, and just full of joy. And it wasn't just, how can I help? She see a need and just, how we all say, how can I help you? She wouldn't even ask. She would just do it. Yeah. She'd just show up, and just was amazing. One of my favorite stories through her cancer journey was somebody else got diagnosed with cancer in our neighborhood while my mom was going through it. And this lady had a much harder time getting out of bed, getting going. And I remember my mom, she went over there, she showed up, lady couldn't get out of bed. She walked in the house, threw back the curtains in her bedroom and said, "Get up, let's go." And just saved that woman's life because it turned her into, you're not going to let sure, it may take your body, but you don't have to give it that power. Like you can keep moving forward. And my mom's cancer, she battled for 7 years, went away for a few years, came back, after 6 years, and then battled for another year. And I believe strongly those last days, I mean, her body was gone, but her mind was so strong, like kept her here. She willed herself here extra days beyond when she should have been.
Yeah. Okay. So 2012, she gets this diagnosis, and then she had surgery. And so she's a chocoholic.
Yeah.
Sugar's no good.
Right.
With cancer.
Yep.
And so she needed something to satisfy those cravings, right?
Specifically those chocolate cravings. Yep.
And so did she have any background or experience in
not in like
the culinary arts?
She was an incredible baker, and I joke the first healthy thing she ever made was Jojo's. I mean, growing up, it was cinnamon, orange rolls, the best cookies, Texas sheet cake. I mean, everything, right? Just
all the good
stuff.
Yeah.
And she knew that, so she said, I got to make something that still like get my chocolate fix.
Yeah.
But it has a little bit of protein. It's more satisfying. We joke like she should have been a food scientist because she nailed the macros, like nailed them without really intentionally. Yeah. I mean, I'd say she knew what she was trying to create, but wasn't a food scientist by any means. And so she created this bar that had dark chocolate, which is more satisfying because there's not as much sugar. She added almonds, pistachios because she knows they're good for your heart and they're good. Also add a little bit of protein. Then cranberries just to sweeten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then she put protein in the chocolate. So then you have less carbs and more protein, and it really became, she'd just make it on a cookie sheet. She'd go get these dark chocolate bars, melt it down, make it on a cookie sheet, put it in the fridge, and she'd walk by, take a little piece, 11 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m.
She had a schedule.
And just kind of like let her, anytime that was like, I'm really craving that Snickers, or I'm really craving that, piece of cake at night, she turned a little piece. And so no intention of starting a company, just truly trying to solve a need for herself. And that's when I was like, one, I would love to build a brand around you, Mom. Like, you're my hero. Like, could I build the brand ethos around you? And then two, I assumed she wasn't the only one trying to satisfy her sugar cravings, eat less sugar. And that's really kicked off like my obsession for health. I'd say even 4 years prior, my obsession for health happened when I had my own kind of health, not crisis, but health transformation. And then it evolved as somebody you love goes through that, and you realize how important food is.
Okay,
food is medicine.
Where did your health, you don't want to call it a crisis?
Yeah, so my end of junior year,
in college?
In high school. Yeah,
okay.
So like I was kind of sick for like 3 to 4 months, just like constant head cold. In fact, I even got the deviated septum surgery because they thought that would help.
Yeah.
Didn't do any, in fact, made it worse. Like I just was constantly congested in my head, headache, and I was trying to play football and basketball. And so I finally went to, it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. And in fact, made it worse. Went to a naturopath, just more focused on food, and the body. And he said, did a blood test and said, let's go off dairy and gluten. Try it. Do it. In 2 weeks, I could breathe for the first time in months. In 4 weeks, my head was clear. I had all my energy because I was so low on energy. When you just feel like you have kind of a flu, a cold, you just lower and all my energy back. So I was really strict for about a year. No dairy, 2 years really. No dairy, no gluten. And then I went, luckily we lived in Singapore, Malaysia. There's not much dairy and gluten there. It's rice and, so was fortunate kind of. And so I just saw how much better I felt and I had my energy, and so that's kind of what kicked me off of this kind of, I call it health journey obsession of food is medicine. We are sick because of the toxins, because of the food we're eating, ultra processed, and just,
Well, it's so timely that you're mentioning this because the Food and Drug Administration
just 2 days ago,
has
released
literally flipped the food pyramid
completely upside
down.
Yeah, for how many years we've been told it's this way, and now it's this way.
Yeah, and I think if
Unbelievable.
If you've experienced it, like that, you have some actual, like, wait, I feel much better
when I follow it.
When I'm doing this.
It's unbelievable.
Other.
I mean, for how many years? I mean,
how many years were we told?
Yeah. What is it? 50
upside down.
You'll have to Google this, but 50-70% Americans are considered overweight or obese.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And a lot of that is all of this stuff that we're dealing with, like the ultra processed foods. And, we just, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But hopefully we're on a much better path now. But
I think we're on a path. It's going to take a long time.
You experienced that on your own without
and
ever.
that's what I feel like I've seen is true. Most of the time it does take a health crisis for people to change because it's so habitual what we eat, what we do. And so it does take, and people are like, oh, I feel good enough, you know? And so I want to make that hard change. And so I've seen around, like, it's really usually something happens, and then like people are like, oh, I see how different I feel, right? And so
it's really interesting. I know this is kind of a funny parallel, but in the shipping and logistics business where we spend our time, we kind of have that same thing with people in the warehouse and with people who are moving products around, and it's like, it's working, you know. I don't know. It feels overwhelming to make it change.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be better. Maybe it won't. I don't know. And then you make the change. You're like, wow, why wasn't I doing this the whole time? But people manage their health that way as well. Like, I'm fine. You know, I'm doing okay. But could you maximize? Could you improve? Could you be a lot better? And the answer is yes. Absolutely. You can find that. Okay. So your mom starts making these chocolates. She comes up with the bark that turns out to be like nails it.
It nails it. Yep.
And you think, you're thinking at this point, I think there's something here. I think there's a business around this. Are you in school at this point?
Still in school, yeah. So when she got diagnosed in 2012, 2013 was when she started making, because when she went through the chemo radiation treatments, that's when her cravings hit an all-time high. And so kind of that year, she just did it in our kitchen. I came home from school for an internship that summer after I'd taken that intro to entrepreneurship class. That was like, okay. Like that's when I was like, I want to find something. And I was like, Mom, maybe this is it. Like and it was more like, let's go see, right? They taught the principal, like, go test and validate, go see. So I said, let's try it. So she's like, can we call it Jojo? So I was like, heck yeah. Let's go. So she comes up, and I'll tell you, the one thing she did not get, which I also did not get, which is design ability. The branding, the packaging was so bad. So bad.
Initially?
Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, I made like a little logo in Word document and put it on a sticker and cellophane bag. And we went to this CrossFit competition and thought, okay, they're health conscious, right?
Yeah.
And they want to eat like some more protein and less sugar. So sold out, and was like, maybe we got something here. Like
you just like you had a booth or
just
something?
like a table
with Jojo's
Kirkland
chocolates?
table, right? And I don't even think we had a tablecloth. It was so bad. We had a banner behind us.
Yeah. Did you ever think maybe people just felt bad for you?
For sure. Luckily, enough people felt bad for me to keep going. I thought, maybe 2 or 3, will feel bad, but there was enough people that bought it. And so I thought, all right, let's go, Mom. Oh man, so naive at the time, but just so like, hey, let's go. Let's try it.
Okay, so you started the business and she was
making it in the kitchen. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And started at CrossFit, and then what was your business plan? How did you lay
Should
that
have had
out?
one. But I mean, early on.
True entrepreneur. Let's go.
Yeah, literally. So I thought, okay, we'll go to every CrossFit CrossFit gym or box, as they call it, and try to sell it. We tried that and realized quickly I was going to starve to death, because you don't go to a CrossFit gym to buy something like chocolate. You go to work out. And so like we were trying to sell it in, and they liked it, but it wasn't the right place to sell the product. And so then I was like, hey, yoga studios. Went out to San Francisco, slept in my car. Again, you don't go to a yoga studio like, I'm going to buy treats and snacks, and protein,
Yeah.
So you learned people loved it, but it wasn't the right channel. And so again, my mom was still making the kitchen, and we kind of had some influencers just talking about it. So we had a few orders online. Then my buddy was selling sleeping bags on Amazon, and just absolutely crushing it. And I was like, well, that's
what was special about the sleeping bags? Was he selling a special sleeping bag?
It definitely had his own niche, but it also was cost, and so it was.
Was he making the sleep?
He was importing them, and
is he still selling sleeping bags?
Doing very well. Yeah.
Okay.
He's evolved. Yeah.
Now I want to talk to that. Let's have
He's
him on.
He's phenomenal.
Let's have this guy on the
I
podcast.
love him. Yeah. Jason Whitaker.
That sounds like
Yeah.
That sounds like an amazing story.
outdoor vitals. He's incredible.
Outdoor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we're getting
he
off
was like,
topic.
hey, I was like, well, that's different. It's sleeping bags. People aren't going to buy chocolate. It's like, try it. And we went for it. And we put Jojo's on Amazon. And all of a sudden we started getting consistent orders. It was kind of the first time I saw repeat, right? Just repeat business, repeat orders, great reviews. And, Amazon's, early on it was organic reviews, right? Just people that bought it. And so I was like, wow, we got something here. And quickly got to a point where it was definitely not going to work for my mom to make it in our kitchen. And in fact, we got one KSL article here in Utah. She got 100 orders that night. I was in Utah. She was in Arizona. She's like, how do I make this? It's 120 degrees in Arizona. And she's like, what am I going to do? So I drive my car down. We make it all day. And then what we would do is literally turn on the car at 8:30 p.m. We found one USPS that stayed open until 9:30 p.m. We would cool the car down, package all the boxes in styrofoam, put it in the car, drive to the USPS at 9:15 as it's driving away, and put it on the back of the truck so it
didn't melt.
So it stayed in Arizona for hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
Get on the plane and leave.
Oh my gosh.
And my dad's like, what are you guys doing? Rightfully so. He questioned, like, what are you doing? You can't make chocolate in Arizona. And
Really? Would you say your dad was not a believer in the beginning, or
how would you say it?
skeptic?
He was wise. He was, and rightfully so. He couldn't see the vision.
The voice of reason. Would he be a voice of reason?
Voice of reason. There you go.
Let's call it that.
Let's call it that. Perfect. Well said. I mean, he's used to buying a piece of dirt that you can put a home on and you can sell it to somebody. Like, makes a lot of sense. Selling
He's
chocolate in Arizona.
Arizona shipping. No, I'm not getting any of this.
100%.
What? Okay, so if you have 100 orders, how much chocolate are you?
I mean, even
I want to say baking. But
yeah, at
is
that time,
correct?
my favorite comparison. I mean, my mom used to buy. I mean, 100 orders would have been, like, let's see, not even like 50 pounds of chocolate. So not that much at all. Maybe 100 pounds of chocolate. And so still like manageable in your kitchen. You go buy it, buy it in bulk and melt it down. To give context, last year we booked 2.5 million pounds of chocolate.
You bought?
We bought and sold 2.5 million pounds.
How many containers?
Containers of chocolate?
2.5 million pounds of chocolate.
Quickly try to do math. What is that? 10, 100. Oh,
That's a lot of
it's a lot of containers.
You know what?
Yeah.
I just realized if you're doing 2.5 million pounds of chocolate, what is like C's doing?
C's, Hershey, Mars. Can you imagine?
No.
I can't either yet. I'm trying to imagine it.
For a moment, I thought, 2.5 million pounds of chocolate, like that probably is the whole world of chocolate. Do you know how much chocolate that is?
Yeah. It's when I go, wow. And so, yeah. So going back to your question, like her making it. So after that big order, it was like, okay, and my mom was not, she wanted it to be perfect. She wasn't thinking of economies of scale, setting up operations. And so we found luckily a Utah chocolate company that would just make us a batch kind of once a week. And they were a small chocolate company, yet like what we made was like literally an hour a week for them. And they'd make it, we'd sell it, and we kept doing that.
Now, were they making the bar?
Yeah, we gave them our recipe.
Oh, okay.
They would make it for us.
So you transitioned from
Mom's Kitchen.
but now you're incorporating a new cost into your.
Yeah, but we weren't really taking into account Mom's cost at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
it was year one.
Mom was free.
Yeah, Mom was free.
The best thing.
I remember her asking after
Very low cost production.
Are we ever going to pay ourselves?
Did she say that?
Yeah, of course. And it really was more like, are you ever going to pay yourself?
So tell me about that. Yeah. Were you making any money?
Oh, not early on. No.
What was the issue?
Just scale, just like many things. But we made enough to like just fund the company, right? It was, we started with, I had $500. She put $1,000 in, and that bought us our table, our banner, and our ingredients, and a couple t-shirts. And I have a video of the first time I wrote myself a check. It would have been, I'd been married for 6 months. So summer of 2016, we had been running.
2016, you've been doing this for 3 years?
3 years. Yeah. Yeah. 2.5, 3 years. And I mean, it was $1,000 check.
Oh.
Like, okay, finally get to pay myself, $1,000 a week maybe. And, but it just was, and I mean, so I would do different things to just at least live, right? Get by. But wasn't until we had Amazon like really churning of like, okay, like here's consistent revenue. But like I said, trying to go to these, what I realized was go to like a yoga studio, they're going to buy $100. Your profit's $15. It's going to take a lot of those to make any money. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't until Amazon was selling, 100 orders a day that I was like, okay, here's something here. And then when we really saw it was we got pitched Sprouts. And
this is a great story, by the way. You should tell that story about Sprouts.
So we were, we actually had, my wife wanted to just, because I was really me, my wife, and my mom at the time. So we moved to Washington just to experience something. And I remember that year I set a goal every day. I was going to send 2 emails out to some buyer, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Costco, anything. Mm-hmm. And it was like 4:30 p.m. I was like, oh, I got to get this done. So I sent out a buyer. I just like went on LinkedIn, found a buyer's email. He happened to be the VP. And I said, hey, we're a local Arizona company. Can I come show you? He said, yeah, can you be here tomorrow? Because I said local Arizona, but I wasn't living in Arizona at the time. Mm-hmm. So sure enough, bought a flight, flew down, and I meet with him. He's like, yeah, let's do like an Arizona special. And then he goes, well, could you do the whole country? And of course I said, yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, no problem. And he said, okay, let me bring in the chocolate buyer, because he was more over kind of merchandising. And so he brings in the chocolate buyer, and the buyer takes, because in grocery stores, right, there's somebody that buys cereal, somebody buys chocolate, somebody buys milk. And so they have their specific category. He comes in charge of all chocolate candy, takes a bite, throws it in the trash, goes, good, and walks out. I thought, well, that didn't go so well.
Oh, jeez.
And the VP goes, that's glowing praise from him. Okay.
That feels like a Seinfeld character.
Right? Like truly felt like I was in a movie. Just like,
chocolate.
Okay.
What did they call it? Yeah, it was the soup Nazi, the chocolate Nazi.
The soup Nazi, yep.
Yeah. Good.
So good.
Throws away. He didn't even finish it?
No, he didn't finish it. He bit it in half. Bit in half.
So in that brand, Jojo's chocolates, that aligns with kind of the Sprouts.
Yeah, it was, we were
mentality.
Like I said, bad packaging. It was like this brown craft bag that looked very natural. It did not look like it was delicious chocolate.
So, okay, in this experience of going to yoga classes and to CrossFit gyms and trying to sell, and then having some success on Amazon, when did you decide, or how did you decide, okay, the shopping experience isn't at the studio or at the gym, it's at a retail location? Yeah,
I was kind of one, looking like at myself and asking, where do people buy chocolate at the end of the day? Like you don't go to CrossFit gym to buy chocolate. You don't, and even still today, it's true. And especially, in 2017 and 18, like you weren't going to Amazon necessarily. Like people were buying everything, but like the vast majority of people are going to a grocery store and they're buying everything else. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some chocolate. Need a snack on something. So even though we were having some success on Amazon, I realized like the growth is going to come from grocery stores. That is where consumers are still buying. And even, maybe shopper behavior has changed a little bit and more are buying on Instacart, but they're buying on Instacart from a grocery store. Mm-hmm. And so we realized, okay, we got to like figure that out. I had no idea how to do it. And one last thing on Amazon, like you can, when you have a temperature controlled product, you can only be on Prime, 6 months out of the year. And when you lose that Prime badge, we lose like 50% of our sales immediately. Come May 1st, Prime badge drops off. You look at May sales versus April sales, it's almost 40 to 50% less. So I was like, okay, well, that obviously is a barrier and not one that it's the way it is on Amazon, right? Unless you're maybe Mars, So pivoted and we got into Sprouts and took us nationwide. And at the same time, we had been talking to Costco for a year at the time. From our first meeting to the first order was a year and a half with Costco. And I remember we got 15 Costco clubs, Costco wholesale locations. And those 15 was as many as 350 Sprouts in revenue.
No way.
And that's when I thought, okay, I can see where the volume and how we could really make this work.
How did Costco manage that with 15 stores? Was it geographic?
Yeah,
Was it?
so they have 8 regions in Costco, and for our category in Costco, it's each region manages their own chocolate products, and so it was like 8 in Utah, and it was Utah, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon.
So you got the Sprouts in
2018.
Sprouts in 2018. Costco
Also 2018.
Also 2018.
Yeah, it's like January was Sprouts, I think, and April. I mean, it was right by my birthday.
So that's like explosive.
Yeah. Yep. And fortunately, we had grown out of that small chocolate factory, and in that year and a half where we went from talking to Costco to the first order, we went from 3 different factories. And luckily they said yes. They said yes, but not yet at Costco, and they kind of gave me like, oh, this is what it would be. And I quickly realized our current chocolate factory, it would take them 6 months to make that volume.
Yeah.
So fortunately, even though I was like begging for it, fortunately they gave us more time, not intentionally, but it just happened. And we were able to find another factory that could actually make that volume.
So operationally, you were able to manage that.
Yeah.
Through whatever the circumstances were. Had you been thoughtful about that prior to these?
No, because I just really, frankly, I had no like frame of reference of like how much volume like is a Costco order. I was living in the like little studio by studio Amazon volume, right? And so when I it's like they order a pallet at a time. It's 480 bags of a pound of chocolate. I mean, on our website we sell half a pound, right? And so it's just. So luckily it gave me time to be like, whoa, this is a lot of volume to be able to maintain. And so we found a factory that could do it. And actually our progression of factories, after that one, we were with them for about a year and a half and got into, 70 Costcos, and from 15 to 70, they couldn't keep up anymore. And so we found a factory in Canada. And so we make the product in Canada. And again, the first one in Canada didn't work out. The second one did. And so we were in our...
So when you say it didn't work out, did it not work out because of the ability to produce that much, or quality, or cost, or?
The one in Canada was, they actually, so it's co-manufacturing, right? Like they have all the machinery, they make other people's products, right?
Yeah.
However, this one that we went to, right at the same time we got going with them, they launched their own brand. And after a few months, quickly realized their priority was their main brand. And their brand started, they really capitalized on the keto trend for those 2 years, and it took off for them. And we were getting like, hey, we might be able to make it for you. And so it was like, we can't have a maybe on making a product. So found another one, and they're a true co-manufacturer. They don't have their own brand. They make other people's products. And so they're a phenomenal partner. They also have invested lots of money to grow with us. I mean, they went from making on one line, we have 3 lines designated just to Jojo's with them. And so they're a great partner and have continued to scale with us.
So at one point you had a local, and I'm talking Utah local chocolate supplier. And tell me about that process of, because now you're talking about lots of chocolate.
Yeah.
And how did you go about that? How did you find the right manufacturer or supplier of the chocolate?
Yeah. So early on, like I said, we were buying it from local stores, right? And then when we went to our second factory, we were purposely buying European chocolate at the time. In Mom's kitchen. It was her favorite kind. So that's what we were buying. And then when we went to our second factory, they actually were sourcing European chocolate. And so we were able to kind of tap into their supply. And so but that was still small. When we went to the third factory, we had to then source our own chocolate. And so I found we weren't quite big enough to go direct to the source. We found a broker that was importing the chocolate for us. So worked with them. But then after, 1 year of Costco, we were quickly his largest, customer in the US. And so that got attention of the actual chocolate maker in Europe. And so after that time, we were able to work it out. After a few months, we went directly to the source, and then we sourced directly from Germany. So they are the chocolate maker that, they take the product, make it into the chocolate chips that we use. That gets put on a boat over to Canada, gets melted down, and that's where we make, the peanut butter, almond, pistachio, cranberry are flavors from there.
What are the challenges associated with sourcing? What were the what were the things that you were that worked out well, or the things that you thought, oh man, we didn't do this right?
Yeah, we haven't taken the approach of like we know where our beans come from, and we purposely blend them from two origins so we get the right flavor, but we aren't fully integrated into like the source of the beans. We went to kind of the chocolate maker because due to resources, right? But we've been fortunate. Cocoa Market had been pretty steady until 2 years ago, and it absolutely hit an all-time high. I mean, supposing like ever, you're right. I mean, we were paying, just to give kind of rough dollar amount, like call it $2.50 a pound, roughly, right? It at one point, if we had to have bought chocolate, it was $9 a pound, and this is in 12 months. I mean, you can't raise your prices that much. Mm-hmm. Luckily, we had at least some booked out, but we did end up buying at $6.50 a pound. So you're still 2.5 times. So what we did well was, in that time period, I mean, we stayed very close to our supplier, and they were such a great partner with us. I'd say it was more lucky. we at the end of the year, before it went crazy, we had bought a bunch of chocolate, and then we actually got a program using organic chocolate. And so we were able to use a different organic chocolate for the kind of those first 6 months with our biggest customer. And we had all this chocolate left over before it had raised price. So honestly, it was luck.
No.
And then, so we didn't really have to buy at the new price for 12 months later. And then it started coming down. So we just, we are not expert chocolate buyers. We're not buying futures and all that, but we just have great partners that help us, and then we monitor as best we can.
Before we're going down this path of kind of, now we're in the business and some of the challenges that you have to overcome, but tell me about in this process, how is your mom engaged, and how are you building this thing together as you're going through? So kind of through those 5 years that she got to be a part of it, from home kitchen, Amazon, Sprouts, Costco. Once we got into Costco, then we were no longer making in the kitchen. So she got to be involved. She would go do Costco demos and was the greatest at it. Just the greatest. And Sprouts demos too. So we did a lot, Whole Foods, we did a lot of sampling in the stores. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she would just sell it like hotcakes because people loved her. And she just such a dynamic personality. I mean, if you were in the Costco, you could probably hear her because she was laughing, or other people were laughing, or crying. Usually with Jody Jones, you were crying and laughing if you had a conversation with her in one. She had an ability to do that. And so she got to be a part of that. She also got to see us in 2019. We raised money with a local group here in Utah. So she got to kind of see that. And I'd say by the end of 2019, she's like, okay, I think you're actually going to pay yourself. So she got to see that. As a mom, something, obviously being a parent now, like you get so much satisfaction out of seeing your own kids do something, right? She got to see me be on Forbes 30 under 30. Like, she got to see a couple of these accomplishments. And I said this at her funeral. When I started the company, I thought, I was starting it for her to kind of build a brand around Jody Jones and Jojo and spread her story. Mm-hmm. I mean, it took me too long to realize that she started the company and did it solely for me. Like, she didn't need to do it. She didn't have any intention. She really had no desire ever to build a brand around her name, but she did it because she was worried that I wasn't going to get a job. Her son's graduating from college with no plans, She's like, okay, I'll help you. Wow.
And so she did it for me, and got to see that journey, and it was fun. We had an absolute blast. Those first 5 years are, frankly, like, you try to enjoy the whole journey, but those first 5 years are just cherished memories. My wife was a part of it. My sister, it was a blast.
How long was your wife? How long had she been kind of involved in the business or in the family?
So we got married in 2016, and she thought she was marrying some, successful chocolatier, and quickly realized,
like Utah's own Willy Wonka.
Yeah, not even close. And I joke, I always wanted to drop out of school. My mom wouldn't let me, but I convinced my wife to, so she could help us with the company. But she's really into health. So she did she's a certified health coach, did that. So that kind of brought a great education to what we were doing, great insights. And so she helped, with everything from packaging boxes to, the branding, the image of the brand, to also the education side of it, to outreach to influencers. So up until we had our, she was involved with our first baby because she could still do stuff at home. The second one got tougher. And then by our third baby, we had raised money and we were building a team, and she jokes I fired her, but it was really, I just, wanted her time back. I wanted to spend some time with her because she had kids all day, and then, would do Jojo stuff at night, but she was amazing. I remember we were packaging boxes in our tiny little basement office and shipping them out, and she was pregnant, and she came home like, man, my back is hurting so bad. I thought, well, that is definitely my fault because you're standing shipping boxes all day for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we had a blast together.
I think it's a great legacy that your mom built you a business and you didn't even know it.
Right.
You were like, look at all this stuff I'm doing. Your mom's like,
let's be honest. I did it. Yeah.
Do you think she would say that?
Never. She would never say it. No. She would say that she was worried about me and concerned for my future. So.
It's a great story.
Yeah. Thank you.
And so everything you do now is kind of built on the foundation of her legacy, spirit.
Yeah, definitely. Her spirit is the best. We call it spreading the spirit of Jojo at Jojo's. We brought in some phenomenal leaders that, did a phenomenal job at really kind of bringing out the culture that I was trying to build. I wasn't great at like setting the strategy, bringing these values to the forefront and making sure we lived them. I just kind of thought it would happen. And we brought some great leaders in the last 2-3 years that have brought those to the forefront and made sure those really lived on. And so now we talk about all the time, spreading the spirit of Jojo, pushing forward in optimism, advocating for wellness. And when we say spreading the spirit of Jojo, we all know it means, we say her love, her optimism, her fight, her faith, those were the things she lived by. And so it's been fun to see that that's going to continue to live on no matter where the brand goes.
I think it's interesting as I have looked over the company and where you are today, especially with the leadership today, because that seems like it's changed over time. Basically. And that you took this step of bringing in talented people to help continue to run and grow the business. I think a lot of people, especially a lot of people who start a business, might feel awkward about that, might have some concerns about bringing in outside talent. But tell us about that experience for you.
Yeah, great question. Extremely hard. And fortunately, I've got good people around me that do have my best interest in mind. We've had some hard conversations. We all have egos. We try not to lean into them.
We all have self-interest, absolutely.
And so of course, as somebody starts your own company and builds it, of course you're like, no, I can do it all. I can build it. And I had an experience. I was sitting at it would have been Silicon Slopes Summit several years ago. Steve Young came and spoke. And it's funny, he actually, because now due to being married, this is my grandpa-in-law, right? Not Steve Young, Stephen Covey. Steve Young is talking about the first time he met Stephen Covey.
Stephen Covey is
my grandpa-in-law. From marriage, right?
And so Steve Young is talking about his experience.
Tells his story. And so he starts telling his story, and I perk up because he says Stephen Covey. And he says, I was sitting on a plane. The story is he had kind of really dug himself into kind of this self-pity, depression, just kind of, what was me? And Stephen Covey says, well, let me ask you, how's your coach? He's like, oh, one of the greatest coaches of all time. How's the manager? Oh, he'll be known as one of the best managers. And he goes, well, is Joe Montana, would he be your, mentor? And he goes, oh, never really asked him. And so Stephen Covey goes, look, you are sitting in the best possible opportunity to have.
You're giving me chills. That's exactly the question he should be asking.
And so I was sitting there with my investors and leaders saying, hey, let's put some people around you that will help you grow and lead you. And so it hit me in that moment like a train, that's what I need. It's exactly what I had been doing. I was like, oh, no, I don't need anybody. And so that story, and like I said, I perked up when he said, let me tell you about the first time I met Stephen Covey, because I was like, well, I have a connection there. And so that helped me, and I'm constantly battling with that. Like it's the tug and pull, like how much do you fight for like just what you believe in, and how much do you say, no, like let other people. And I've learned like from these individuals who, truly have Jojo's best interest in mind and myself, like come in and learn from them. And then I've tried to take these opportunities, like the tough conversations I've had to have, as like an opportunity to learn. So when I go into these conversations that I, haven't had before, and I'm just like, I'm going to learn. I'm just going to take this as an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do this again later in the future.
Well, it's an interesting balance because you have all of the history, you have all of the tribal knowledge, and you know why it started and the foundation of it and why it exists and all of the things. And I think not only do people resonate with the product, but people resonate with the story. And that combination is really powerful. And so if you start messing with that formula, it could go really wrong. I mean, I think of the recent Cracker Barrel controversy. I mean, Cracker Barrel has like raving fans.
Yeah.
And then when you change the logo or you take something off the menu, it caused...
That was hilarious.
It caused an uproar. And that is bringing in outside talent. Someone's probably really smart, successful elsewhere, but you still have to be aligned with the foundation of the product. Do you feel like you've been able to achieve that?
Yeah, and I think that is the sign of a great leader that comes in, understands that, and doesn't just push their own agenda. So Chris Bowler's our CEO and is a phenomenal leader because he brings in everybody's opinion. The whole organization, allows me to voice mine, allows there to be debate, allows there to be opposition and voting, and so he does that in an incredible job. And so to be able to observe that has been awesome, as well as to be able to kind of feel that there is that belief in, the root of Jojo's, and not trying to, change the reason we had success, but how do we actually like really scale? How do you go from 20, 30 to 100? How do you go, how do you go that next step? And a lot of brands, at that 10 to 15 is a very pivotal moment to go to 30 to 40 and then to 100. And so it's been a huge blessing to learn, and then also I think just like being self-aware and pausing and going, okay, but like deep down, what do I like really want? Like, is it to just run it? Or is it, hey, like how amazing would it be to have great people do it with me, And so I've had to, and when you bring in investors, obviously too, that's the thing. One of the biggest lessons for me is like, I've been fortunate. I don't have the horror story of investors, some people do, and I don't. There's been challenges, there's been different opinions. Of course there will be. But I think the one thing I didn't fully appreciate and recognize is like when you take somebody's money, like not take, but when you get somebody's money, like you have to make sure you understand their motive. And at the end of the day, they have to get a return. Like it's just that simple.
Absolutely.
And so like you got to know that. And so things don't go perfect. Of course they're going to get involved. Of course they're going to protect their money. And of course they're going to do what is the best interest for their investors, because that is who they are loyal to. Yeah. Rightfully so. I mean, you want that if you gave them your money.
It's not a charity.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting thing, because even when you give your money to charity, the expectation is still that the charity runs well.
Does something with it, right? Yeah. I am giving this money that I earned to go make it produce some good results. Whether it's charity or more money.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think your mom would have approached bringing in outside talent?
She would have just loved everybody. She wouldn't have been very good at it. Like I wasn't early on, because I just was like, yeah, I like them. Let's hire them.
Yeah.
But she was very good. And it's something I've had to learn, at like understanding what she's good at, what she's not. And that's taken me, I've been slower at that than I should have been, of like understanding like what am I good at? And so where do I need to fill in the gaps? Her approach is just like, she wants to work with good people, good, honest people. And, but not she was wanted to do it all because she just like wanted to do it right, And so, and that's part of my personality too. Is like, I'll just do it all, like, cause I can do it, And so she was very much like, do as much as you possibly can. And so anyways, we both kind of have that. So it's taken a lot to like delegate, to give, not authority, but give responsibilities to others.
Sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've been able to find really good people. Mm-hmm. Have you had the experience where you made a wrong hire?
Oh, absolutely. Oh. Yeah. We're fortunate to be sitting in 2026 where we're talking about a great team that I have.
Yeah.
And not that I had bad people as in terms of like immoral bad people that, just not the right fit. Mm-hmm. Right. And so to back up, like I said, we raised money in 2019. We hired, a couple people in 2020, but from 2020 to 2022, we went from, 4 of us to, we had 20. And at the end of 2022, I looked around and realized, 1, like we can't afford these people. 2, we had some people in spots that didn't have the right skill set, and they weren't, for example, we had a leader just wasn't willing to make the hard decision of letting go of somebody who wasn't performing, so they just hire over them. So now we have 2 people that we can't afford.
Yeah.
And so we got to the end, we grew a retail sales team, and the retail sales didn't grow as fast, right? Mm-hmm. Grocery stores takes a while, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you have a huge influencer, right? But like you present in April, that means you're going to get in November, and you're going to start selling in December. Like it's 6 months maybe. And if you get a no, it's another 18 months. So anyways, it was slower growth. And so at the end of 2022, we went from 20 people to 5 by early 23.
Wow.
There was 5 of us. And so it was, and even through that process, I hired, 2 heads of operations. That was we're on to my 5th VP of sales. And fortunately she's been with us for 2 years now. And we're in this position now that I feel like we have great people, that there's trust, that there's I think Tony Robbins talks about like early on, you just hire like family, just like because you trust them and they'll work hard. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, okay, I got to hire skill set. You jump to skill set or experience, and but they don't have the values aligned, right? And so we now have both. We have more than capable people, and the aligned values and belief system.
I think that's the hardest part, is because there's certainly a culture associated with the business, and all businesses, but specifically with your business, and so finding the right culture alignment, because you get. Like you said, you get one individual who's not aligned with culture. Yikes.
Especially as a small company. There's 10 of you or 8.
It just flows right down to everybody and can create enormous obstacles.
And truthfully also, I was a first-time founder, first-time entrepreneur, first-time CEO. I also did not know how to lead a team. I kind of thought, you kind of think, oh, well, I'm a leader. People get excited about my vision. There's a difference in being able to set a vision and people get excited about it, and then leading and managing. Mm-hmm. And I was not, and I'm still getting better at that, leading and managing. And so a lot of that bad hires and it not being the right fit is on me, not just them.
Let's keep that in the back of our minds. I want to talk about some of those lessons learned as we wrap up the podcast. But as we're still talking about the functioning business, you mentioned earlier about your marketing, packaging stuff. Was maybe on the amateur side.
Subpar. Nice way to say it.
I was trying to figure out how to say that.
You could say ugly and bad and terrible.
I didn't want to say any of that. Unique. It was unique early on.
In a bad way.
It did. And then, okay, so at what point did Sprouts come to you and say, look, we love the product, but your packaging is terrible? Did you have an epiphany somewhere along the way that you needed to work on that side of the business? Because today, the packaging is, I have 3 bags sitting on my desk. The packaging is really nice, really very appealing.
Yeah, definitely many iterations. And I would say even a couple of them didn't improve it. But there's the one your mom's kitchen, that bag can't go on a shelf. So that was kind of the first one. Okay, we can't put a cellophane bag that doesn't even stand up in Sprouts. So that was the first step. Design was, you know, again, it was like me being like, oh yeah, I like that. And somehow we got into Costco with our brown bag. It was because, you know, in 2018, we were the first adding protein into the chocolate. It was the best like macros for a chocolate bar. And it was different enough, you know? And so like, anyway, so we had the right like ingredients, but we still were successful in Costco early on. And so I look back and go, man, that brown pallet, brown bag, but at Costco you can sample, you can talk to people. And so the big kind of epiphany was when we in 2019 raised money, there was this, hey, like we definitely need to glow up the brand if we're going to go get in stores.
Which year is this again?
2019. And so 2020 is when we did, and we actually, in our industry, we have it's called Expo West. It's a big show.
Yeah.
And we prepared everything for that. We did the rebrand. We worked with an agency our investors had recommended and definitely elevated. And that's when we got kind of the Jojo logo icon, was through that process. And it was perfect timing. My mom passed December 2019. And I remember like January 2020, they showed the like little icon. And I was like, I knew I wanted that. I didn't know what I wanted. Like, and when I saw it, I was like, yes, like that gets to live on, you know, and it was perfect. So we got that and we launched and we prepared for Expo West 2020. That didn't happen clearly in 2020.
Oh, yikes,
we were all prepared.
Oops.
Expo West got canceled.
Right.
But we launched the brand and, you know, it definitely elevated the brand. But even still after that, like we get into grocery stores and it's not like pulling itself off shelf. So we didn't nail the imagery and the appetite appeal, and we still hadn't nailed the right message. We did another iteration and it still did not like hit it. And so 2 years ago, well, a year and a half ago, with this new group we brought in, we went through the right process. What is the right message? What are the key things? And they call it a brand defining idea. We went through this whole process to nail what is Jojo's brand defining idea. And we call it sweet, triumphant snacking. Like that is what Jojo's is. It's a sweet, triumphant snacking. You eat it, you feel like triumphant. You won because you chose the right snack, both for your taste buds and for your health. And so that's where we came up with the tagline, snack victoriously. Because it allows you to feel that way. It's a better way to say guilt-free chocolate, right? You know, we never loved guilt-free chocolate because you don't like the negative aspect of it, but it also hit early on, mainly just because that's what people would call it. So we ended up with snack victoriously, and then we also leaned into the right appetite appeal. We needed it's chocolate. People need to see it and go, that looks delicious.
Yeah.
So that's, like I said, several iterations to get where we are. We are starting to see that immediate, you know, get on shelf and it sales are increasing. It's going to take time, but like at least previously we'd get on shelf and kind of just be the same. It'd be flat, you know, but we've got in stores and we're seeing an uptick. And so we're getting there.
Oh, that's amazing. It's a great story.
Thank you.
And are you at this point in the history of the company, what are the things that you think about? Like, what are the next steps? Is it like, okay, we're on the right path. We have these nicer products. We're in all these stores and our momentum is good. We're going to keep going. Or are you thinking of innovating and expanding? And
yeah, definitely this year is actually all about product innovation because we've got the core, you call it, like I just said, the brand defining idea works and hits. People resonate with that. But like in chocolate, we've got to get we still need more innovation. So that's our main goal this year is innovate within this added protein, low sugar, which is what we do. How do we make more snacks and treats that appeal to more people? And so that's what this year's all about because with grocery and retail, I mean, we look at other brands and they'll have 12 products on the shelf. We've got 3. Yeah. And so like there is still so much opportunity to innovate. And we believe that's what's going to drive the growth. And in grocery stores, I mean, I love the brand Kodiak Cakes, you know. Yeah. But you look at their innovation has been unbelievable. From a pancake mix, they're in the frozen section, they're in granola bars. You know, they've been able to be successful because they've taken the same idea and just said, okay, well, we can go to frozen now. people will eat frozen waffles with added protein. So that's what we're trying to decide. I mean, we still have to first be successful at what we're doing, which is chocolate in the candy section or better for you snack section. And then we'll continue to evolve from there.
Yeah.
And we want to just become a lot more of we call it reliable, consistent business is what we're really achieving next, is just this consistent business in grocery stores that people count on it and they buy it and it becomes a part of their daily routine.
What does that entail? I mean, so it feels like it's an interesting thing that you say about consistency, because it feels like you're in lots of really good retail. People are obviously purchasing the product, but not in a way that, or do you think it could be consumed more regularly?
Yeah. So for us, we've seen the success in club channel. So in our industry, you've got kind of Costco, Sam's Club, and on the East Coast, it's called BJ's Wholesale. You've got kind of grocery stores, your Albertson Safeway, your Smith's, your Kroger, Harmon's in Utah, Publix, and then you also have kind of Walmart and Target. And so Costco in that world operates very different from Sprouts, Whole Foods, Target, Sprouts, and those places, right? That's where we're trying to have more success moving forward. We've done a very good job in the club channel, as we call it. And so where we really need and where it becomes consistent and reliable is the grocery store.
Gotcha.
And so for us, that's what's next, is the unlock. We're not in Kroger yet. We're not in Publix. We have a little bit of distribution in Albertson Safeway. So there's still so much white space for Jojo's in what we call kind of your traditional grocery store.
Gotcha.
And it's also proving that there are, we talk about, yes, there's this shift towards better health, but it's still the minority when you go to a grocery store. I mean, go to the candy section, they give you 5 feet for better for you chocolate and candy. And then you have 30 feet of your chocolate. So obviously that is still the majority. Otherwise they wouldn't give 30 feet of their store for traditional chocolate.
Yeah.
And so we still got a long ways to go.
Yeah. I think there's probably still some of this, the concept of healthier chocolate doesn't necessarily resonate, because we've all had healthy chocolate and it's terrible.
Right.
It's like brown cardboard that doesn't really melt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, I mean, there is some of that to overcome.
Yep.
Because still, when you throw a few peanut M&Ms in your mouth, it's like, well, that's pretty good.
And it's what people are used to.
There's some protein in there.
Yeah. So that's our goal, is innovate within that space so we can continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, it's a great product. Okay.
Thank you.
Did you ever think that you would be in this position running a chocolate snack company, snacking victoriously? I love that, by the way.
Thank you.
Snack victoriously. And I'll tell you why I love it. Because it gives you the sense of, it tells you everything you need to know about the product without saying, oh, it's got cranberries and almonds and great tasting chocolate. When you say snack victoriously, it's like, and the reason I say that is because I came across a company back east, it's an old company that manufactures colognes and perfumes. They manufactured George Washington's cologne, and it's still available. It's called Number 6.
Whoa.
And so I bought some. And when people ask me about it, because I always tell everybody, I have George Washington's. I don't happen to be wearing it today. And when they say, well, how is it? What does it smell like? I say, it smells like victory. And that's all you need to know about George Washington's
Wow.
cologne.
Yes.
It smells like victory. So
yeah,
snacking victoriously.
Yeah.
It's a really great message.
Thank you. And it leans into the way my mom lived her life. So it was a double win. And that was the goal.
Absolutely. Okay. So you never thought you're going through the entrepreneur program, you're going to be an investment banker, but nope, you're the chocolate snacking king.
Yeah. I'd say yes and no. Obviously early on, I mean, I never growing up, entrepreneurship wasn't on my mind. And then, going through college, it was kind of, once I call it bit by the entrepreneur bug, then you start you set hopes and dreams. And I'm a big believer in vision boards and all that. And so there's two sides to me, is I hoped and believed that I could potentially do it. Right. I was fortunate enough that year, my first year, I actually did a small internship at a startup out of like a garage, classic, right? Like, and I remember doing that and looking around and going, these guys are just trying to figure it out. Like, yeah, they were smarter than me because they were, you know, hardware and engineers and that. I couldn't do that. But the other guys that were just like kind of figuring it out, I was like, they're just trying to figure it out. I'm like, I could try to do that. And that's one thing, you know, that I realized is like, I remember asking somebody during the investment banking interview, was like, well, how do I like show or tell you or prove that I will work harder than anybody? I am not smarter. How do I like, give me the chance, right? And so that's
the intangibles.
Hard. Yeah. Which entrepreneurship is like that. I could just do that. And so, yes, there's like a part of me that's like, yeah, I believed in it. But you also in the moment, you don't like, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like if we could sell $1 million, that'd be it.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know? And so, yeah, yes and no. Like I'd say once you start going, then I was like, okay, I could start seeing like, I believe we could get there. I believe we could do this. And we still have a long ways to go, you know, but.
Okay. Well, based on that, if there was anything else in the world that you could do right now and be successful, what would that be?
Man, probably two things come to mind. Since we talked about it, like teaching, like honestly, teaching about like Christian beliefs. Like if I could do that, like I'm so passionate. I love that. So I also tie that to like coaching. I would love to coach because you get to help develop youth and you know, give them a belief system and that. So yeah, coaching, teaching, like I love that idea. At the same time, like I am obsessed with health. And so I love to do something that just continues to help people with whether it's education, but I don't know if that's all we need, you know, so it's a great question. It's something I've been sitting with.
There's lots of things. Maybe you could put all those pieces together and
something. You know,
create a Frankenstein in there. What is your secret obsession?
Good question.
Shoes? Is it cars?
No, I need one. Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, I'm gonna go two things. I'm gonna go back to I should have mentioned this. Acting is one thing I would love to do. I've never done it in my life, so I'd say I love comedy. I love like I love like movies. I don't watch a ton of them, but I love like good true story movies. So I have this obsession of like, I love that. I love good entertainment, good movies that tell good stories. And then the reason like the first one that would come to mind is like working out, but I'm going through this health journey right now for injuries. And so I'm not like as in it as I wish I was right now. Speaking of CrossFit, like used to do that and I was obsessed with that for a while there. So I'm gonna have to go find a new obsession.
Yeah.
I
think you should. One of these things that you talk about is leadership, and I want to hit back on that. And you said that you discovered like the leadership strategy, leadership that was a challenge. That's been a challenge. So tell us about that, things that you've learned from that, and how you might approach that differently.
Yeah, I think because going into it is like I mean, like I said. I love people and I have an ability to connect with people and I have an ability, you know, to kind of get people on my team. And so I thought that would transfer to like, I can lead them. I can manage them. One, I had never done that. And then, so managing is a skill set. Like it's not what they call it, like a talent and a skill. Like it is a skill set that you got to learn. You got to study, you got to observe, and you have to try and implement. And so, and also, too, maybe this is an excuse, like being an entrepreneur, you operate different. And so like my mindset, like I just kind of thought everybody would operate this way. And, you know, everybody come in and work as hard, you know, and I'm like, no, that's not the case. And that doesn't need to be the case for everybody. And so I had to stop and go, oh, okay, obviously not everybody thinks the way I think, and that's good. And also not everybody's going to operate the same way. And then also just like culture and like the way you work it will happen in its own way, and that won't be the way you want. right? And so I learned through observing a great leader is like you write it down, you put it out on paper, and then you also get everybody's buy-in too. Like it's not just me. And I also thought, okay, well, as long as I tell everybody and say, do you guys like this? That's everybody's buy-in. Very different than allowing them to be along the process and being willing to say, hey, yeah, like share your ideas with the group, not to make sure your idea is the right one, but to make sure then they think about your idea as well as their own, and you all arrive at the best way. For example, our 4 values, like I would have put out our values differently, but the 4 values we've aligned on are exactly what I would want, like for the team. And that's how I would want us to operate. But we got there in a better way, and now everybody's bought in. And then same with the strategy. Like there's some quotes like if you think it's clear, it's not. You got to know, and everybody around you needs to know it's clear, and then it might be,
and then you have a chance. Yeah.
And and so I was not good at, and also I'm definitely have the shiny object syndrome, and so I'm quick to, let's try that. And that's not good for a team, you got to give it enough time trying something. So I've learned getting the whole team bought in on a few strategic directions for the year, as you grow that team. Yeah. And you got to change from when it's you, your mom, and your wife, the way you're operating is different than when you've got 4, 5, 6 new people, it's not going to be the same. And yeah, you can operate by your gut for your first few years when it's your wife,
Yeah.
So that was a big learning, and like I said, and then the last is the hiring process is hard. I had kind of a mentor. First time he met me, we just like started talking and started telling me, he's like, man, you're all heart, and people is going to be a problem for you. And I kind of took me back. I'm like, well, he's like, you're just all heart. And so like, that's going to be hard for you. And he is right on. And it doesn't come natural for me to have hard conversations, to be candid. And so I have to be aware of that. And then I also have, when in the hiring process, my gauge of do I like them is not a good gauge.
Because you like everybody.
Yeah.
You see the good in everybody.
Try to at least. And so, so those are been fortunate to learn and see, have those strategy meetings and set the sessions and bring people together and set it together as a team.
Yeah. It's really good insight. Appreciate that. Do you have, if you're struggling, if you need to make a hard decision, if things don't feel like they're going the right way, how do you work yourself out of that? Do you have a confidant? Do you have a process? How do you work through difficult challenges?
To be honest, flat out, I pray, man. Like I heard an athlete say it was just like the best, like it just came off naturally. He's like, they're like, oh, what's your tips? He's like, work hard, pray hard. And I was like, that's it.
That's a t-shirt.
I know, right?
We should be doing that.
Yeah. So, but really like, yes, that's a part of it obviously for me. But the thing that's helped me a lot lately is writing it out. It's this very kind of common sense. Going back to Stephen Covey, one of my favorite quotes from him is common sense doesn't mean common practice. And like, get it written out, get it jotted down. And that way you can kind of get it all out of your head because, stress comes from like, there's a problem out there that I need to solve, but you're not really working on it. You're just stewing on it. And so, so I do a lot of like, I wake up early to just sit on it, just sit and think on it, instead of like stewing, but like really try to like sit and think, I think there's a difference, and kind of like letting it boil and letting it, stew versus, no, let's sit, write it out and think through it.
As you've gone through this process and you look back where you've been, where you're headed, is there something that you did that you think, oh man, that was, wow, that was a mistake? And if so, how did you?
There's a lot of them.
Well, we don't have that much time.
I know. We better wrap up.
And how did you overcome that? How do you address those things moving forward?
I'm trying to think of a very specific example because there's just kind of a lot that come to mind. But one real one comes to mind is we talked about a little bit about candor, but kind of the opposite of candor is maybe like passive aggressive, right? And so I'd say early on with having a board of directors, like I was like being agreeable in like the moments, but like really like, I didn't fully agree. Like, meaning like I didn't believe in what they were saying. And so I was agreeable in the moment, but then later on I'm like, I'm going to do my own route anyways. Instead of being willing to just contest and contest, or maybe not the right word, but just like express a different opinion and just be willing to say, I'm seeing it this way. Like, I don't see it the way you see it. So help, like, you know, so, and that's hard. Especially I think maybe this is an excuse as a young entrepreneur, and there's older, experienced,
more
it's
experienced
hard,
people.
And
absolutely.
So the way I overcame that later on was calling up that individual and saying, hey, I can tell you're frustrated with me. We're both kind of frustrated in the situation. Can we go to lunch and talk it out? And it was the best thing I did, because by the end of that lunch meeting, like, there was so much alignment, and it was just the simple principle of like truly seeking to understand, like, go in there and like, let me, and it doesn't mean you have to agree, but understand. And so, continue to try to do that, when they're just like kind of calling it out, maybe not in the moment, but shortly after, like, hey, I can tell we're not in agreement. Let's talk about it. Instead you can tell in the moment, and so, trying to be better at either immediately expressing or as soon as possible, coming back like, hey, I didn't feel comfortable to express it in the moment. I got to express it now. I've sat on this, and it's okay if you need to sit on it for 12 hours, call them back, sit on it. So that's something I've tried to get better at.
I think that's great. Because there are, I feel I do that sometimes too, is like, it's not necessarily biting your tongue, but trying to be agreeable and not expressing if there's some question or doubt or misalignment. So one, being able to do that in the moment, that's a skill. You have to learn how to do that. Opening the lines of communication. And then I think maybe the most important part is this seeking to understand. So you have a perspective, but the other individual has a perspective as well.
Right.
And you have to, that's where you get alignment, is understanding each other. So really, really good lessons. What do you think you do really well? I mean, what do you think people say, you know what, that guy, he's great at
making chocolate? Except for I don't.
Agreed.
Credit goes to Jojo.
Yes.
That's a good one. In terms of like the work environment, I'd say an ability to kind of will things into existence, or better said, like running through walls. And that is a good thing that I can do. And then it's, see an obstacle. I was like, well, we will get over through it around, like we will. And I think I kind of got that early on. We talked about my dad, like, and my mom, like they both had that ability, kind of the mindset of believing as well as the work ethic. And then also like in sports, I think fortunate and unfortunate from being like cut from a team or from not starting, I just kind of early on put in this, like, well, I'll just keep working. I'll just keep working at it. And I'll share a funny, I actually don't think I've ever shared this story. My senior year of high school, I played on the team, made the basketball team, but I didn't start and didn't play. But they had a 3-point state shooting competition that, players from the teams got to compete. And so like, even though I wasn't a starter, I could compete in that. And so I just, every morning I woke up before school and I would shoot 3-pointers just every day. And I thought I can work towards that because I have control over that. I don't have as much control over playing or not. That's up to the coach. And so I can work towards that. And so that, like early on, that was my senior year. So I was 17. Like I kind of created this ability to say like, well, I can still like just work through that, and ended up winning the 3-point shooting contest in Arizona.
As a non-starter?
As a non-starter.
On the high school
It's kind of fun.
That's amazing.
So it was one of those early moments to be like, yeah, you can accomplish something.
It's such a great principle because there are things that you can't control. And you can't necessarily control the coach's decision on whether or not you're going to play. Those are things, whatever. And people get all upset about it. But the things that you can control, like your effort, how you prepare, your attitude, are things you can control. And so you took advantage of all of those things and found yourself as the 3-point champion.
It's fun.
Man, this has been, I still haven't come up with a great nickname for you. That, So
Stir fry,
stir fry's pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, stir fry's pretty good. I do like Stirl. Like that is so unique.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That one guy that called me that, I actually was like, okay.
I might lean into that.
Lean into
it. Anyway, Stirl. What a great story.
I
What a
appreciate you so
fascinating
much.
story.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a great product. Where can people find it, and where can people find what you're doing?
Yeah. Costco, so different grocery stores. We're not in every grocery store across country, but Costco's definitely our prominent grocery store, or online. I mean, if we're not in your local grocery store, jojoschocolate.com, best place to find it. And then, find me probably would only be LinkedIn, or just Jojo's Instagram. I'm not much on social, so but LinkedIn's a place to connect. I love connecting with other entrepreneurs, other people. So
Perfect.
LinkedIn, great place to just connect, and I love connecting with people.
I failed to mention this, so I'm going to do it right now. I apologize, it's so late. But Elizabeth, your spouse,
Yes.
has been meaningful in this whole process.
Oh,
How important is that to your success?
I tell her so she knows. I mean, everything. Like I would not. There's a very clear growth trajectory. Those first couple of years were struggling, and everything got better when I married my wife. And I mean, she's phenomenal. So yeah, she's deserves all the credit for us being here, for me being able to work this hard at it, and being able to, she's one that I constantly go to with ideas and struggles so yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing.
And if you want to scroll back a long time to that Instagram, you can clearly see the day she took over the Instagram. It went from very ugly to, so that's a direct
Big pivot there.
direct example of how much her impact made. I think my photo was like a Jojo's barn, like a banana that was probably like yellowish brown. And then the next photo she took over. She's like, you are done posting on Instagram.
That's great. Well, listen, continued success. I hope you'll come back and see us again. If you're ever in the neighborhood and you have a few packs in the back of your vehicle, feel free to drop them off. We're big fans around here.
Thank you.
Thanks
so
come
much for your
back
time.
and see us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Know Your Ship podcast presented by eHub. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.